Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey, and subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, we just passed 440, 450, 460, and 470 subs. Thank you guys so much for all the support. You guys have been amazing, and I hope I can continue to make great content you guys will enjoy in the future. But there's been a big coaching announcement in college basketball. Ed Cooley has left Providence to be the new head coach of Georgetown Hoyas basketball program. I'm going to go over what I think about the move from Ed Cooley to move from Providence to go to Georgetown and whether I think he made the right decision and how this will help out Georgetown in the future. Now, you look at Ed Cooley. He's a fantastic head basketball coach. He's been around coaching in college basketball for almost the last 2 decades, and he's had a lot of success. He started out at Fairfield, and there he went 92-69. He went to an NIT and a CIT as their head coach. Fairfield obviously is in the Metro Athletic Atlantic Conference, a much smaller conference, and he was able to have some success. So in 2011, Providence hired Ed Cooley to be their head coach because of the fact he did have some success at Fairfield. Ed Cooley is from Providence, Rhode Island, and it made a lot of sense, the hometown hero coming back home to be the head coach of the Providence Friars, to be able to lead them to a lot of success in the Big East, and he did that. At Providence, in 12 seasons, he led the Friars to 7 NCAA tournaments, 1 Sweet 16, 2 NITs, and he had an overall record of 242 and 153, and his overall record is 334 and 222 as a head coach. So you see at Providence, he had a lot of success. He led the Friars to tons of tournaments, which at Providence is tough to do. Providence is not one of the easiest head coaching jobs in the country. Providence can have success like any other program in college basketball, but Ed Cooley did a really good job, and Providence did everything they possibly could to keep Ed Cooley as their head coach. He almost went to Michigan in 2019. The Wolverines tried to lure him away, but then they hired Juwan Howard, so Providence was able to keep Ed Cooley there. They gave him a contract extension, and it was rumored that Providence was going to give Ed Cooley an even bigger contract extension this time around to keep him from going to the Georgetown Hoyas, but Georgetown has decided to hire Ed Cooley as their head coach, and Ed Cooley has taken the job. Now, you can look at this decision from Ed Cooley in 2 different lights. This could be a positive decision for Ed Cooley to go to Georgetown because you look at Georgetown overall as a program. They are a brand. They are a much bigger brand than Providence in college basketball. Georgetown's been to 5 Final Fours. They won the national title in 1984. John Thompson Jr. had so much success as the head coach of the Hoyas. Patrick Ewing, all the great success that Georgetown had back in the 80s and 90s. They were a great program back in the day. Georgetown was an elite brand, one of the top college basketball programs in the country, and then Georgetown started to slide downhill, and then they had some success in the late 2000s and early 2010s, but by and large, Georgetown has been a forgotten basketball program for a long time. They hired Patrick Ewing to be their head coach a few seasons ago, hoping he could lead Georgetown back to their glory days, but Patrick Ewing just did not work out, and now they're deciding to hire Ed Cooley. And you look at being a brand name like Georgetown, this could be a great move for Ed Cooley because of the fact he's going to a school that has such a rich history. He will be able to potentially lead Georgetown back to their glory days yet again, and if he's able to do that, and he's going to be making more money at Georgetown than he would be making at Providence, then Ed Cooley could have a lot of success. He's only 53 years old. He still has a lot of time ahead of him coaching in college basketball, so I think that you can look at this as a good move for Ed Cooley, especially if he's able to turn Georgetown around. He will be beloved by the Georgetown Hoya fans, and he'll have a lot of success in the Big East being at Georgetown, and he'll be able to bring back an old elite college basketball program. But you could also look at this in a negative light because he could have stayed at Providence, his hometown city where he was born and raised, at Providence, where he's had so much success, and he had been building great things at Providence. He was bringing in good transfers year in and year out. Providence was having a lot of success in the Big East. He's taken them to so many NCAA tournaments. The fans loved Ed Cooley, and barring a complete collapse, it would have been really difficult for Providence to ever fire Ed Cooley because he had had so much success, and when you've had so much success, even if you have a few down seasons, they're not going to want to fire you unless you just have 4 or 5 bad years in a row. Ed Cooley had a really good thing going at Providence with so much change going on in the Big East right now with no more Jay Wright. Providence was in a pretty good position to stay as one of the top Big East programs, and I think Ed Cooley could have kept the Friars toward the top. But now Ed Cooley's going to Georgetown, who's at the complete bottom of the Big East. They're even lower than DePaul right now. Georgetown is not in great shape. They have not had success for over a decade. It's been a long time since Georgetown has been any good in college basketball. And even though they are a brand, even though Ed Cooley will be making more money than he was at Providence, it's going to be really difficult for Ed Cooley to be able to turn Georgetown around. And if he's not able to turn Georgetown Georgetown around in 4 or 5 years, Ed Cooley will be fired, and he lost out on his chance to stay at a program that loved him, a program that was in his hometown city, a program that would have kept Ed Cooley as long as he was taking him to NITs and NCAA tournaments. And Ed Cooley had a great job at Providence, and even though it is a tougher job to win at than Georgetown when things are going bad, Providence is in good shape right now. Ed Cooley's built them up. They've had a lot of success, and Georgetown's a program that is capable of being a much better program than Providence on paper. They're in Washington, D.C. They're in a recruiting hotbed for talent. Georgetown should be able to recruit at a high level, and I think that if Ed Cooley can do that, he could really turn Georgetown around, have a lot of success, and I think that could be really good for Ed Cooley. To be able to be in Washington, D.C., be able to recruit, be able to get paid more as a head coach, be able to try to bring back an old elite program in Georgetown and have a lot of success in the Big East. But it's going to be a really tough job. It's going to be really interesting to see how it works out. Plus, you're going from Big East program to Big East program, and Ed Cooley's going to have to face his old team in Providence twice a year, potentially 3 times in the Big East tournament. That's going to be really interesting as well. Just like when Chris Beer went from Texas Tech to Texas, it had an interesting reception. But overall, for Ed Cooley, I think this is a decision that we're definitely going to have to wait and see what happens. I think Ed Cooley's a great coach. I like Ed Cooley a lot. I think he's done a fantastic job at Providence, and I think he does have a really good chance to turn around Georgetown because he has had a lot of success wherever he's been, and I do believe that Ed Cooley could turn Georgetown around, but if he does not, he could get fired, and it will be really sad to see Ed Cooley fall from where he was at Providence when he had a lot of success. He had a great job at a school that definitely would have kept him as their head coach unless they completely fell off the map. Providence was in really good shape. It was his hometown program, and I think that it is a really tough decision for Ed Cooley to leave from Providence to Georgetown. But if it does work out and Ed Cooley is able to turn around Georgetown, then he will be one of the best head coaches in college basketball because Georgetown is in bad shape right now, but they are a former elite program, and I think that Ed Cooley has a really good chance to turn Georgetown around, and if he does, then he will be one of the best head coaches in college basketball. But if he's not able to turn it around, then he definitely should have stayed at Providence because he had a really good thing going there. And I think a lot of the Providence fans will be upset that he left for Georgetown, but still the Providence fans should be happy for what Ed Cooley did in the 12 years that he was the Friars head coach. He had a lot of success. Nothing will ever take that away. But now Ed Cooley's going to Georgetown, and we're just going to have to wait and see. It could really work out. It could really not work out. And overall, I think this is a decision for Ed Cooley that we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But hopefully for Ed Cooley, this is a good decision. He'll be able to turn around Georgetown, have a lot of success, so he won't fall from one of the better college basketball coaches in the country. But if it doesn't work out at Georgetown, things could get really interesting for sure. But overall, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with Ed Cooley, but hopefully it works out at Georgetown. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below what you think about Ed Cooley leaving Providence for Georgetown, whether you think that was the right decision by Ed Cooley going to Georgetown or whether you think he should have stayed at Providence. Follow me on Twitter as well, and I will see you next time.